Troubling new COVID numbers coming out of Europe, proving once again that lockdowns do not work. Now, for months, we were told that Europe was doing everything right, and they, unlike us, I guess, were following the real science. But now we see, again, just how wrong the so-called experts really were. Now, as of yesterday, the EU as a whole reported nearly 90,000 new cases. That's more than the US has ever recorded in a single day. Now, when you compare what's going on in individual European nations, things look even more grim. Now, look at the UK. They saw about 19,000 new cases today. That would translate to about 91,000 new cases in the US. Across the channel, France recorded more than 30,000 new cases today. In the Netherlands, another 7,700. Now, if both of those countries were the size of the US, well, their daily caseload would be more than 150,000. What about little Belgium? Well, they counted 7,565 new infections on Wednesday, which is latest data available. That's the equivalent of more than 215,000 cases if you compare it to the United States population. Nearly triple, by the way, our one-day high. Now remember, not only is Europe now in the midst of a COVID outbreak worse than anything we've experienced, their economies are in terrible shape. Much worse than ours ever has been in during this pandemic. That's despite following the expert advice to impose these severe lockdown measures. Joining me now is Dr. Ramin Oskoui, cardiologist, CEO of Foxhall Cardiology in Washington. Dr. Oskoui, France now announced they're instituting curfews until December in Paris that are just devastating businesses. Restaurateurs are in news stories saying it's going to be the end of all these dominant restaurants in the capital. And here's the media engaging in their own full-blown panic in order to push us back into a lockdown. So what do folks need to know tonight about the real truth?
I think the real truth is that positive cases don't equal ICU hospitalizations and don't equal imminent death, and that we're seeing a lot of testing. Farr's law of epidemiology, which you talked about earlier this week with Steve Atlas, is exactly correct. Lockdowns have significant problems. They delay the onset of herd immunity, but they also have significant economic complications, and they also cause their own health issues. Undiagnosed cancers, delay in treatment and other disease processes, increased depression. Lockdowns simply are the wrong answer. And the WHO said this last year.
Yeah, the business owners in Paris alone, I was just reading that story tonight. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. I mean, these are restaurateurs whose the servers, they're like family to them. And sure. They're just the crying, being interviewed, crying, saying it's over, we're done. Yeah. Let's look at this. I want everyone to see this tonight. These are confirmed cases, right, in the United States. On October 15th, the 14-day change, new cases are up 25%, but the death rate is down 2%. Now, Europe, it's trending the other way. The death rate is not down. The death rate's going in the wrong direction in some of these European countries, again, showing that our approach opened up at least, a lot of the country much smarter. But we're still hearing complaints about herd immunity is the worst thing ever, Dr. Oskoui.
Herd immunity is how all pandemics end, whether it's induced by the use of a vaccine or not. Under the age of 60, this virus acts as a prototype coronavirus vaccine. It makes you a little bit ill and you move on. Look at our own president. He had it. He was on vitamin D, zinc, and Pepcid. He was sick for a few days, and now you've seen him all this week campaigning. The man looks as robust and energetic as he ever has.
Now, Dr. Fauci took another shot at that Great Barrington Declaration, Dr. O, which, of course, is all the hundreds and hundreds of doctors, healthcare professionals, opposing lockdowns and other severe COVID restrictions. This is what he said.
If you just let things rip and let the infection go, no masks, crowd, it doesn't make any difference. That, quite frankly, George, is ridiculous, because what that will do is that there will be so many people in the community that you can't shelter, that you can't protect. So this idea that we have the power to protect the vulnerable is total nonsense.
Dr. Oskoui, your response to the great Anthony Fauci.
I think some have accused him of being responsible for this crime against humanity. The reality is, never in human history have we locked down a whole society. You quarantine the sick. You quarantine the vulnerable. You don't shut down the whole country. What he's suggesting is scientifically antithetical and unsubstantiated. I'm shocked that this man has any sort of podium anymore. He's been wrong so many times. It's terrible.
I'm shocked that he's still heading the coronavirus task force.
I am too.
Still meeting. Why is he even still heading it at this point? He's been so wrong. Dr. Oskoui,
I think the biggest mistake was involving him.
Dr. Oskoui, great to see you. Thank you so much.